It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you keep before. He meddled in things. He meddled in things.
Where will we go next? It's a phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Muller.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hi, I'm Alex Kaiju. Across from me,
Eli Watson.
and to my left,
Steffen Myers.
we are
Cryptid Campfire.
Campfire.
Welcome to another Tall Tales, everybody.
Hey everyone, it's
Hey.
Cryptid Campfire Tall Tales, a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, and we already broke our own rule. So it's originally supposed to be me and Steffen one week, Alex and Steffen the other, and we'll just keep switching off. But this week we said, let's go for it.
Yeah, we're like J.J. Abrams with the next Star Wars movie.
Abrams.
F it, do what I want.
You mean the previous Star Wars movie?
Oh no, we're in the future. But yeah, so I mean, we're still learning out the basics of, Tall Tales. Like, so
Yeah.
we're like, maybe we'll do 2 people at a time. Maybe it'll be 3 people.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll have 7 people.
You never know. We could
And-
have a special guest on. It could be, we're learning and kind of keeping it fun. So
Yeah, dude, we're gonna get Robert Downey Jr. here.
yeah, straight off the hot set of Doolittle, the
Doolittle.
greatest movie that opened of all time for January. It's gonna
Dude, yeah,
be
that's
a hit.
I feel like it will, huh?
We're talking to you now, 2020. It's the best movie ever. It beats Endgame.
Anyway, Eli, what's the episode called?
We are talking about the Flying Dutchman today.
Ooh, the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, the Flying Dutchman is a little ghost ship that...
Oh,
Just a little one.
It's a little ghost ship.
Ghost ship.
it's like a toy boat size.
Yeah.
Shiver me timbers. I see a boat at
Yeah.
my givers.
So yeah, it's this ghost pirate ship that can never really make port, and it's doomed to sail the oceans for eternity.
Ooh, and along the way it collects souls for the Davy Jones locker.
Yeah, see, I don't. We'll get there. We'll get there.
That's all you need to. Everyone knows, because it's funny. We're gonna go into like the history of it a little bit, but the Flying Dutchman, it's like, that's in pop culture, like everywhere. It's like
Yeah.
everyone
SpongeBob?
knows. Yeah, everyone knows the Flying Dutchman. Everyone knows Davy Jones locker. They just don't know the real history behind it, but everyone knows because it's such a catchy.
It's
like,
cool.
It's dope.
I know, and this kind of demystifies it,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Nah.
And since I had to do the research and demystify it for myself, now you guys get to sit there and listen to me talk about.
So welcome to Patreon. Thank you so much for the money.
Oh my. Well, do you guys have the first print reference of the Flying Dutchman?
You, Steffen?
I got that it was dated back to the late 18th century.
Okay, yeah. So this comes from 1790,
Mm-hmm.
and it is published in this book called Travels in Various Parts of Europe, Asia, and Africa During a Series of 30 Years and Upwards.
Ooh, catchy.
It's a long title.
It's a good one though. I actually tried to memorize that title on the car ride over.
Yeah?
I was reading it and closing my eyes.
Were you really?
Yeah,
Travels to
that's a good title.
Yeah?
travels to various parts of my mind to remember the title. It sounds like a Wes Anderson movie.
But it was written by John MacDonald.
You want me to read it?
Sure.
The weather was so stormy that the sailors said they saw the Flying Dutchman. The common story that this Dutchman came to Cape in distress of weather and wanted to get into harbor but could not get a pilot to conduct her and was lost, and that ever since in very bad weather her vision appears.
So that kind of sets up the scene about what this Flying Dutchman is. It was this ship that was trying to make port, and then it sunk. And he's talking about, Steffen said Cape, and that's what it says in the document. But the man is talking about the Cape of Good Hope.
Oh, I thought it was Cape Cod.
No, Cape Cod? Imagine, dude.
Like we're trying
So-
to launch spaceships, but the Flying Dutchman keeps blocking them.
So,
Oh, that's Cape Canaveral, right?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't keep up with all these capes. But one thing I do know is that the Cape of Good Hope is actually home to a bunch of storms. Like, that is Storm City right there, dude. And it's like southern part of Africa, but not the southern tip. It's like on the western side. So,
Thanks for the clarification.
but yeah, because I was confused myself on that. I was like, oh yeah, it's right at the bottom, right? And then it wasn't there. I was like,
It's like
where'd it go?
slightly off to the bottom.
It's slightly like, yeah, it's off to the side. But yeah, it's a really bad area for storms. So in fact, I think the original name the Portuguese gave it was like the Cape of Storms.
Ooh, it
So-
sounds like a cool area.
Yeah. Maybe.
It just a name. It sounds cool.
All right, Alex, you know what? Just kidding. So I have another written portion
Mm-hmm.
of the Flying Dutchman, and this is according to Scenes of Infancy, written in 1803 by John Leyden. And he basically, I'm going to paraphrase here.
That's okay.
Oh, did you want to read the quote?
I can if you want me to.
Read the quote.
All right. It is a common superstition of mariners that in the high southern latitudes on the coast of Africa, hurricanes are frequently ushered in by the appearance of a specter ship, denominated the Flying Dutchman. The crew of this vessel are supposed to have been guilty of some dreadful crime in the infancy of navigation, and to have been stricken with pestilence, and are ordained still to traverse the ocean on which they perished till the period of their penance expire.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
That's metal.
That's cool, yeah.
So they're like describing that the Flying Dutchman is like ushering in all these storms.
It's the pestilence plague of the sea.
It's a flying prison is what it is.
It's just like imagine just like this gross rotten ship coming out of like the fog, and it's just got like giant bars on it with like hands reaching out of it. It's a giant prison, and people just screaming and yelling, and there's just clouds of like bugs
Yeah, and there's
and,
like a dude up
and
top
like crows around it, and it's just like leaving a trail of like dead fish in the water.
there's a dude up top like mopping the floor.
With like somebody's like severed face,
Oh my lord.
spreading blood everywhere.
Oh my god.
That's the Flying Dutchman.
We like it dirty here.
They're like, now bring forth Davy Jones's foot locker.
Yeah, but it also
Yeah.
introduces something that wasn't there before, is the idea that the people on board the Flying Dutchman are like paying a price.
Yeah.
They're like suffering for something that they did, which wasn't talked about in the first. The first one, it was just like a ship that sank,
Yeah.
and it was like seen as a specter ship every once in a while.
What do you know? What the crime was that they?
No, we don't.
No,
Because
because
every
it's different.
time-
They're different.
Yeah, every time the story gets told, it becomes more and more epic. So.
I was gonna say because it's just like they're like condemned for a crime in the infancy of like sailing. You're like, oh, what did they do? Like,
Yeah.
did they put their buoys out in the wrong way?
Yeah. If it's like a group thing, what would it be?
they,
Maybe they mutinied.
oh no, the very first mutiny.
I
They're
don't-
like, we're tired of not having oranges and it getting
Getting scurvy.
Getting scurvy. We're scurvy as hell. We're not gonna take it anymore.
Well, that brings us to our next author, poet, man. His name is Sir Walter Scott. And he was a friend, actually, of John Leyden, we just read his quote just like a minute ago. And he wrote that the Dutchman was loaded with, it was loaded with wealth.
Oh.
And that the crime was like some act of murder and piracy.
Ooh, the very first pirates.
Yeah. And it also says that mariners who see the Flying Dutchman consider it a bad omen.
I would assume so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
It's got the visual stink lines over it to indicate.
But yeah, there's that.
That's cool, man. That's dope. Like, just this, like, gross, rotting, like, pirate ship full of, like, gold from the very first act of crime committed. And maybe they got Cain from Cain and Abel hanging on it, too. Like, he's, like, one of the tortured souls chained
See,
to, like, the mast.
this is what happened throughout history. People like Alex wrote what he just said down, and that's all we can find on the Flying Dutchman.
History's what you make it, baby.
It's like,
it's pretty true though.
is it not? Like, the dude just said that the Flying Dutchman ushers in hurricanes. Why? When? How is that proven at all?
They got the Heineken there.
I spiced it up a bit.
Hurricane Heineck is the leader.
He's like
Oh
the
my.
god of storms.
So that brings us to the captain of the Flying Dutchman, which I don't think we really know for sure who it was.
Davy Jones.
I'm sure if we searched really hard, we could probably find it, though, since it was a Dutch ship. They probably have records, if they still
His
exist.
name was probably like Jorgen von Snorgendorgen.
Close.
Because he was, what did you say, Dutch?
Yeah, Dutch. But, so they kind of base the captain on this guy named Captain Bernard Fouquet.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah, I think so.
F-O-K-K-E.
Yeah.
So it's he was a 17th century Dutch captain, and he became known for his like speedy trips from the Netherlands to Java. He would do it in like 3 months.
Whoa.
Which was like wicked fast at the time.
Yeah.
It's so fast, in fact, people thought he had made a deal with the devil.
Badass.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude, just to get some spices across the ocean.
This
dude.
is the Han Solo of the 17th century, dude.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, if you got it, I can smuggle it.
Yeah, so
That's
he's
crazy.
kind of like the basis. So
He's like the bad boy of like pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying like not Davy Jones, but the captain of the Flying Dutchman probably sold his soul to the devil at some point too.
Yeah.
And maybe the Flying Dutchman is super speedy now because, you can sail from Java to the Netherlands in 3 months tops.
Ooh, dang, that's worth your eternal soul for sure.
So in 1821, a version of the legend was published in Blackwood's Edinburgh magazine, and it named the captain of the Flying Dutchman as Captain Hendrik van der Decken.
Whoa, I was close.
And do you have the quote on that one?
Yeah. She was an Amsterdam vessel and sailed from port 70 years ago. Her master's name was Van der Decken. He was a staunch seaman and would have his own way in spite of the devil. For all that, never a sailor under him had reason to complain, though how is it on board with them nobody knows. The story is this, that in doubling the Cape they were a long day trying to weather the Table Bay. However, the wind headed them and went against them more and more, and Vanderdecken walked the deck, swearing at the wind. Just after sunset, a vessel spoke to him, asking him if he did not mean to go into the bay that night. Vanderdecken replied, "May I be eternally damned if I do, though should I be about here till the day of judgment." And to be sure, he never did go into that bay, for it is believed that he continues to beat about in these seas still, and will do so long enough. This vessel is never seen, but with foul weather along with her.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
so the Flying Dutchman is just like the ship, and there's this crazy old Dutch guy, and he's just like, harta, 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 harta. He's like yelling at the wind, He's just like cursing up a storm in Dutch,
Just like
and
guttural
he's
noises.
just like, the devil, who needs him? I'm gonna do whatever I want. And they're like, whoa, this guy's kind of a maverick.
Kind of a maverick, dude.
A little out there, even for a Dutch
man.
sea captain. But then someone was like, "Hey, you want to go to town?" He's like, "No, I don't need your stinking town." They're like, "Okay, fine, don't come in then." And he's been sailing the seas ever since. Right? I think that's the paraphrase.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, whatever you say, dude.
And that's the next history of the Flying Dutchman.
But that kind of takes us to King George V. Or I guess sighting reports of the Flying Dutchman. People who say they have seen the Spectre ship.
Oh.
And so that's King George V, but it was prior to him becoming king, so he was just Prince George of Wales at the time. And so he was on a 3-year voyage in 1880, and he was actually off the coast of Australia when he said he saw this.
July 11th. At 4 a.m., the Flying Dutchman crossed our bows, a strange red light as of a phantom ship, all aglow, in the midst of which light the masts, spars, and sails of brig 200 yards distant stood out in a strong relief as she came up on the port bow. There were also the officer of the watch from bridge clearly saw her, as did the quarter-dock midshipman, who sent forward at once to the fourth castle, and on arriving there with no vestige or any sign whatsoever of a material ship, was to be seen either near or right away at the horizon, the night being clear and the sea calm. 13 persons altogether saw her. At 10:45 a.m., the ordinary seamen who had the morning, reported the Flying Dutchman fell from the fourth topmast cross trees on the top gallant forecastle and was smashed to atoms.
Yeah, dude.
To
pretty dramatic.
atoms?
I know.
They're like, it's 1880, we don't even know what a working public toilet system is, but he got smashed to atoms.
Yeah, but that's true. So they saw this like specter ship of weird glowing lights and everything.
It's like red, too.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's gross.
So like USO maybe, right? I don't know.
And the shape of a pirate ship to be to be under camouflage. They're like, they see pirate ships all the time, but they always see in infrared. So they're bright red, right? Like,
Yeah.
look at that bright red ship over there.
This one crashed and then vaporized.
I mean, that's how a guy got smashed to atoms. They shot him with a laser ray.
But
It's pretty crazy.
yeah, so like 13 people saw it,
Yeah.
and then the dude who had originally seen it up in the mast fell off.
Yeah, he's like, wow.
Yeah, dude, which like just solidified it even more. It's just like a bad omen. Just
That's
like
crazy,
you see the
man.
Flying Dutchman, you fall from the mast. Like, dude, you get smashed to atoms, dude. That's what happened. You see the Flying Dutchman, you're smashed to atoms.
Done for.
That was written by the future king of England, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Imagine like he gets to be king. Ooh, maybe was he king when World War I happened? And they're like, Sir Franz Ferdinand's been shot dead. We're having a world war. Want to join? He's like, I'm gonna smash him to atoms.
Sweet payoff.
It's true. The timeline adds up, but I don't know who was in charge of England at the time.
The atom smasher, King George.
King George the Fifth. But that's probably the most exciting
Mm-hmm.
For
and
sure.
spectacular sighting, because every other one is just like, oh, we saw this ship and then it disappeared. Wow. Like,
Oh my
They all
god.
they all remained intact.
yeah, they weren't smashed to atoms. But I guess I'll try to get into some of the explanations here, unless you guys have more exciting sightings.
No, that was the main
that
one.
was the one, right?
Other than
That was the good one.
That
The
was the good-
piercing howl of the dam that fills the air as the fog engulfs the ships, and they're just like, they hear like screams and moanings coming from all angles. You hear chains clattering.
The coffee mugs against the
Things
jail
are going
jail
up
bars.
against it, you know. And then just this giant ship comes out, and the mass of the skull, and the jaw opens up, and it takes a bite onto the ship to hold on to it, and then just snakes start coming out of the eye sockets.
They got all the slaves from Ben-Hur down there, like sailing the boat.
But they're all like skeletons, and they just have like chains ripped, like holding them together, and they're just like, we're a
Dude,
Flying Dutchman.
This guy's got a crazy imagination, let me tell you.
Yeah. But yeah, explanations. You
So
said?
explanations, most people kind of agree it is a result of the Fata Morgana.
Oh,
So,
that was the evil queen from King Arthur, right?
and I don't think so.
So-
Morgan Le Fay.
It's a mirage in layman's terms.
Yeah, or like a superior mirage, that is known.
You think you're better than me?
We got two types of mirages that happen in the natural world. We got mirages, which happen, 75% of the planet. And then we have
It's a pretty even
superior mirages that shoot lasers at people when they hit the right angle.
Need I say more?
Smashes him to atoms.
It is clearly superior.
That's like, remember we talked about something else with octopuses, and they're like, there's octopuses, and then there's better octopuses. That's like
the Kraken episode.
yeah, that's like the little name of them. They're like, dang.
Yeah. But basically, this type of mirage occurs like in like this narrow band above the horizon, usually caused by like two different temperatures really kind of colliding, which I'm assuming happens
Whoa, that's
over
crazy.
the ocean.
That's cool.
Yeah, but it
It really looks like it's flying in the sky.
What a trip! Like,
Yeah, and it's called Fata Morgana because it's back in the day, people used to think they were like seeing like fairy castles and like stuff in the sky, and then it would just like disappear because it wasn't there. But like,
that I was gonna say because I know maybe we can talk about that later, like whole flying castles in the sky, because that like is a kind of like a common weird sighting.
Yeah.
But a few years ago, there's like a video from China to where like they saw like a floating castle in the sky.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it's like this weird like handheld footage, and people are like, "Oh, it's a Morgan Le Fana mirage."
Fata Morgana.
Yeah, they're like they're like, well, we can see like defined spirals and like it looks like a castle.
I don't know. Some of the ones on like the Wikipedia page, like
They're
you
not
can
too
see like
yeah.
cruise ships and stuff like just completely
Yeah.
like morphed into balls, and like that one right there looks pretty wild.
Yeah, it's just a crazy combo of like light refraction and like atmospheric refraction.
Yeah.
Especially because the
It's pretty
ocean's
nuts.
just,
And it makes
wild.
things look like they're flying. It distorts things so they don't look familiar. Sometimes you can even see ships that aren't really there.
Yeah, it makes octopuses look like garbage bags in the ocean.
Oh, you mean to tell me what?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's what they think is the Flying Dutchman. But I guess we can talk about for a little bit the Flying Dutchman in popular culture.
Oh,
Because my favorite version of the Flying Dutchman has to be from Pirates of the
SpongeBob.
Caribbean.
I mean, because yeah, you figure Pirates of the Caribbean, they're like, hey, we're making a movie based on an attraction at Disneyland.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever.
easily one of the better ones, if
And
not
then
the best
you
one.
see, and then it comes out, and you're like, that was really good.
Dude, Curse of the Black Pearl is awesome.
Yeah.
All
It's a
three of them are
solid
good
movie. Well, then the series kind of gets a little crazy. You
though. Dude,
know?
did you see 5?
They focus
Bad.
Bad. Two
They-
thumbs down.
they
dude.
focus too much on the Verbinski and not enough on the gore.
Well,
I've never heard anybody say that before.
for anyone who hasn't seen the Pirates of the Caribbean version of the Flying Dutchman, it's like this aquatic boat that like it can travel underwater, which is cool, and then it comes
It
up.
almost has like shark teeth because it's like jaggedy on the front.
Yeah,
And it's covered in seaweed.
and then the
Yeah.
captain is not Vanderdecken, but
Nah.
Davy Jones.
Yeah, he's
himself.
got a Luska face.
Yeah. He does. He's got a Leska for a head, dude.
He's got like he's basically a squid face. He's got like a beard of tentacles. He's got like the big bulby head, and all the other people
Yeah.
are like fish mutants.
Mm-hmm.
And
pretty
there's the one guy
nasty.
who's like a seashell head and gets cut off, and he grows like legs and starts scuttling
Oh
around.
yeah, that's right.
And you're like, they're abominations.
And
But it's pretty dope.
they can
like,
summon the Kraken as well.
yeah. Ooh, Davy Jones can travel anywhere in water. So you're looking through the peephole of the telescope. You're like, whoa, there's a big
Yeah.
fish guy over there. You put it down. He's right there in front of you the
Yeah,
whole
dude.
time. I be CGI, but I still hold up to this day.
It does. It's true. It's true. And then there's of course SpongeBob.
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 And then there's the episode where Squidward, SpongeBob, and Patrick are like part of the crew.
Mhm. Well, you know that episode's so good. They get Shanghai.
Shanghai, yeah.
That episode, but it's funny because in SpongeBob, because we were talking about the Flying Dutchman's the ship piloted by Davy Jones.
Yeah.
In SpongeBob, it is the Flying Dutchman, the character piloting the Flying Dutchman's
Yeah.
boat. I'm the Flying Dutchman.
I am the boat.
But yeah, they get Shanghai because the anchor lands in Squidward's house, so they
Yeah.
climb up the rope, and
It's like Jack and the Beanstalk.
they get
almost.
up there and they're like, what kind of a dingy dump is this? It be the ship of the Flying Dutchman. Who disturbs thee? Oh, that's Squidward, sir. He wants to complain. Squidward's like, he's like, yeah, why don't you gonna do, like, tell him off and tell him how dirty his ship is?
Alex is gonna do the whole episode.
Insulting a man's ship be worse than insulting his own mother. Oh, wait. It was his mother you said was dirty. And then Squidward gets shocked by, like, fire.
Yeah.
It's so
He
good.
sends him through that zipper of like horror,
The
dude.
fly of despair. That episode's so good. And
Yeah.
they get 3 wishes.
Anyway.
Wish I would have known that earlier.
Yeah, I can't really think of any other.
Other real, because it's Pirates of the Caribbean. You got your SpongeBob, Flying Dutchman. I want to say it's probably really not really that big until like SpongeBob and Pirates did it.
Let's see.
I think so too. I mean, I got the first film that the Flying Dutchman is in.
Mhm.
It's 1951. It's called Pandora and the Flying Dutchman, starring James Mason, who plays the Dutch captain Hendrik van der Decken.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
cool.
But the Flying Dutchman is not the ship; it's a person in the movie, so they're already getting it wrong. But
And he flies around. The Amazing Flying Dutchman, coming soon to a theater near you.
yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just
Yo,
What do you got, Steffen?
I'm reading here. Devin would know this,
okay.
but in One Piece, apparently it comes up.
Oh, the
And,
anime.
yeah, it says there's a descendant of Vanderdecken. His name is Vanderdecken the fourth.
Whoa,
No, wait, that's a 9. The 9th.
Whoa.
9.
it's 1X.
Yeah,
Whoa,
it's 9. And then
you're taking the 9th. Dang.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. and
Hey,
then
that's dope.
It
What-
says here there was a comic book from 1959 where Uncle Scrooge, Donald Duck, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie meet the Flying Dutchman.
Whoa.
Isn't that cool?
And he's probably really flies because he's probably like a big duck.
Yeah.
I wonder if it ever shows up in any Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
There's gotta be.
It's in Scooby Doo. Not the actual. It says Flying Dutchman's ghost,
Oh,
but it's that
interesting.
green guy, right?
Probably be Vanderdecken.
that they couldn't get the rights.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, here we go.
That's pretty crazy. So, Flying Dutchman's been popping around every now and then, but I think he's at his peak right now with popular culture
Oh, dude,
knowledge.
he was in an episode of Spider-Man back in the
Yeah.
60s. Yeah.
Oh.
But it was actually Mysterio. Yeah.
My great plan is to disguise myself as an obscure nautical reference. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then it says in Xena they rework it so it's like Greek mythology.
Is he
Or
Charon?
the-
Well, I think that might tie back to the movie, actually, because the movie is called The Flying Dutchman and Pandora.
Oh, cool.
So they're already doing it. But
Oh.
continue.
No, that's it. It just says they like mix the Flying Dutchman motif with Greek mythology. So like the hero offended Poseidon, and now he's cursed to sail.
Oh.
Cursed to sail the oceans.
And,
Yeah.
and like it's because that's kind of in the Pirates too, to where you're like, oh man, this big old fish guy, what a dick.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, actually, he's got a somewhat tragic backstory that he's been cursed with, and so you got the feels for the villain.
Yeah.
And then the swamp witch becomes a big old giant because she's the goddess of the sea somehow.
She's Calypso, dude.
And she's like, I'm Calypso, I'm the goddess of the sea, and I'm gonna turn into a bunch of crabs for some reason. They're like, oh my gosh, crustaceans, a pirate's worst fear.
But like I guess those excerpts from the books would be technically popular culture then, right?
Yeah, I guess
Those
so.
people were probably selling like hotcakes, dude. People
Yeah, like,
couldn't
there's a
get
ghost
enough
ship
of the
out
Flying
there.
Dutchman.
That heart that brings in hurricanes.
Whoa,
Yeah, can you imagine reading that back then? Like, whoa.
Yeah, dude, I know.
That's coming to our town. We live in a landlocked country, but I'm scared. That's crazy though, man.
Yeah.
Flying Dutchman,
Yeah.
a legend to this day.
But yeah, like I guess really like mainstream stuff, it's really only SpongeBob and Pirates of the Caribbean.
I
But
think
it's
so.
strange because everybody knows what it is.
Yeah, I know. Everyone
That
knows.
is
It's
public
like-
domain, right?
Yeah.
Unless you gotta contact the Van Decken family, be like, can we use your great 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 grandfather's name as a ghost monster that he gets, attacked by the Ghostbusters? Ooh, Ghostbusters on the ocean. They're taking on the Flying Dutchman.
But that's pretty much all I had.
Yeah, that's about it on the Flying Dutchman,
I
I,
think
believe.
so.
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty fun.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this Tall Tales episode.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. It's a Patreon pleasure privilege.
I guess we're just gonna do a quick wrap up. I've just
You know who we are, but we'll say it again because the good
Just
cast
say it
always
again.
deserves a second call.
Save me, Eli served me sludge, please.
oh no, that's
My name's-
true.
Oh,
Go ahead.
my name is Alex.Kaiju. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as Alex.Kaiju, Alex Daikiju. And what about you, fella?
I'm on Instagram at Turbo Dynasty. I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's so
No, it's,
extreme. Woo,
at
spilled my
Myers
coffee.
Steffen. It's MYERSSTEFFEN. And
And what about you,
Yeah.
Beanie Boy?
Beanie Boy is at the Eli Watson on Instagram and Twitter, And you can follow the official Cryptid Campfire Instagram, which I'm sure you might already be doing since this is the Patreon
So
episode.
make another account and give us another
know.
follow.
Well, since this is Patreon, I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit. It's hard to transition between these episodes, man.
Hey,
Like-
we're still learning. This is our third tall tale.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Visit the website,
Oh, yeah.
cryptidcampfire.com. And keep with the Patreon.
Yeah,
Keep
thank you
with
so
it,
much. We really,
Yeah,
really
thank you guys.
love having you guys here. It's a lot of fun, and we hope you stick around for some more cool stuff. And tell your friends and get them to pay us money too.
I feel like Alex should host his own like kids TV show, dude.
Yeah.
All right, kids. Today we're gonna talk about toppling the monarchy.
Well, I think that's about it for this time. So, until the next Tall Tales, everybody,
Thank you guys.
goodbye.
Boy.